Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with my Sunday thought. A little later today because I had some other things that needed to be taken care of. But here I am right before noon on Sunday, the 22nd of August. Today I'm going to talk about prayer. Now, I have to tell you a story that relates to me because I did visit and go to Sunday school for a number of years, up until I was 15, I think, from time I was 3. Most of it I didn't understand too well. So later in life, I began to think about prayer and what prayer was and how it worked. And I was looking for a prayer technique that I felt worked and something that I could use and could work for me. That led me to the Religious Science Church in Vancouver, British Columbia, which was called Celebration Center. Studied with them for off and on for 8 years. Became a minister there for a short while, but I was by that time still very metaphysical, and a lot of people didn't believe in past life regression and some other issues. So I left, but I found the prayer technique I wanted, and that's called a spiritual mind treatment. Now, this was created by Ernest Holmes, that created the religious science. When I studied with it, was Religious Science International, but Religious Science, United Religious Science. And I think they've gone back and amalgamated again into one organization. Now, Ernest Holmes wrote Science of Mind, big book, of which I have a lovely 50-year copy with leather binding on it, which I value a great deal. So what is a spiritual mind treatment? And it is basically a prayer. Once you realize that, it is that by our thoughts create, and a lot of my thinking about how thoughts create I'd already found in the tarot. So this kind of rounded it out a little bit more. So there's 5 stages, and sometimes people talk about 3 steps, but there's 5 steps that I was taught and I really like. So I'm going to go through those. The first is the acknowledgement that there is a force. The second step is to unite with that force or align with that force. The third step is state what you want, basically. Then the 4th step is gratitude, giving thanks. And then the 5th and final step is to release all that. So I wrote a little example today. Just sitting here this morning, I decided, I'll write this out. I used to do them a lot. I used to write them out a lot. And I use them in my work today when I need to find something different that I can't quite figure out. I will pray on that. So put out a spiritual mind treatment so I can get the answer as to what that is. So this is how today's reads, and we'll see if it applies to you as well. I know there is one power, one love source, and I align myself with this love source. As I align with this love source, I know I have this inner strength to proceed ahead in these uncertain times. I give thanks in knowing I have inner strength. I can't even read my own writing. I have inner strength in knowing I have inner strength to not move into fear, but to feel my courage and wisdom have it come forth. Therefore, it is with gratitude and love I release this thought, knowing it to be true. I have strength, courage, and wisdom as I go onward. And so it is. Amen. Now, I apologize for I should have printed it out, but I didn't. I wrote it, and then I couldn't read my own writing properly. Basically, with everyone around, lots of places of the world are going back into lockdown. I don't particularly like lockdown myself. So I was asking that so as I align myself with this universal love force, which I know exists, that is very real for me, I know I have the inner strength to proceed ahead in these uncertain times, because we don't know what's coming next, really. Even though I'm a psychic and look ahead and that, we don't know. people above us know, because isn't it interesting? I noticed many signs did not go down about having to wear masks, etc., especially on my building that I live in. So therefore, I began to realize, okay, they're uncertain. What's coming next? We have a lockdown, and we know that there is a way in which fear is created by they give you something, they take it away, they take more away, and then they give you something back, and then they take away and more away. And that's kind of the process that we have been giving into. And I said, I give thanks in knowing I have inner strength and not give into fear, because that's what's peddled, but to feel my courage and my wisdom come forth, to have it come forth. Now we move into the gratitude path. Therefore, it is with gratitude and love I release this thought, the thought that I have, knowing I have strength, I have courage, and I have wisdom, and knowing it to be true for me. And I always have found over the years, because I used to do a lot of prayers for people, lots of them. And I found that I always reinforce the alignment. I always, whatever it is I want, when I move into gratitude, which is the emotional quotient part, that I also state what it is I want again. And then at the end, we let it go by saying, and so it is. In other words, it's written. And then I usually say amen. So I had heard someone tell me that amen meant something very different than I thought it was. So I went looking up to see, what does it mean? And I've got a couple of examples of amen. Amen means the expression of concurrence and assent, and agreement. The Bible means take care, be faithful, reliable, or established, or to believe someone or something. And that's why we say at the end of a prayer or a blessing, amen, because we're affirming that. And then I read, amen is root letters of the word imena, meaning belief or trust. And then the saying amen is to express strong approval of or support of. And that's why we say amen to things. And we don't do that very often anymore. People don't pray as much. So think about this. And I usually like to keep Sunday thoughts short, but think about this. How do you let that energy, which loves you and wants to bring to you what you want, how do you let that energy know what you want? Now, certainly I teach that the thoughts we have create that. But what this does, it capsulizes it. It puts it in a little package. It sends it out. And there's a knowingness. And you'll hear me, and if you listen to what I say there, I say knowing a lot there. I know there is a force. I know I'm connected to that force. And I know that I will have whatever it is I'm wanting. I know that. It's the knowing state that we can move into, which is an emotional knowing. There's no doubt. There's no questioning. It's in that knowing that we create, that it happens, that it comes into being. Now, sometimes we have to overcome a lot of our own inner negativity, our own inner thoughts of they can't have it, or how does that happen? We don't know. So we can get very, very unsettled. But the reality is, when you know something, it's done. You just have to wait for the timing to come together. That's another whole story. Maybe we'll talk about that in another Sunday thought. In the meantime, you have a great Sunday, great week. I'll be back Wednesday for my Norma talks, and I'll be back again next Sunday with a Sunday thought. And I just really wish you well and want you to have a great, great weekend, day, and a week. Bye now.